I want to talk to you guys today about our history. I left Dodger back at camp under the trailer, so I'm not going to be gone too long. I'm going to be within hearing distance, basically. He's old now, so he's more defenseless than he used to be. So the main concern would be like coyotes. You know, I haven't heard any around here, but I know they're around. I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. So we're just gonna go take a little quick hike around, basically just circling around our campsite. If I do a longer hike, then I put Dodger inside in bed. He didn't want to go with us right now, so it's fine. It's a little hot, the ground's a little hot. But I just pulled up some of our old videos. And if you go back and look at our old videos, you'll see how I have like long hair. And I'm talking just like, I guess like 3 years ago. Four years ago. And we've been on the road now for over 4 years. And I still feel like a newbie. But watching those older videos, it's like I was pretty naive. You know, I knew what I was doing. I lived in Seattle and I was a backpacker, so I would go out on the weekends, you know, once or twice a month and take Dodger out. And I had just gotten Echo, and things in Seattle were getting crazy. And you know, it was the pandemic times and it was very intense and uncomfortable feeling. And then there were all these riots, and then there were all these crimes happening, and then there were these people just changing the way, as far as like being open-minded. And you know, I would have questions. I would go to these rallies and I'd have questions about like, what's going on here in our community? Like, what's happening? You guys are saying some really strange things. And you know, I felt really uncomfortable. And the truth is, I felt unwelcome anymore in Seattle in a lot of ways. And then things happen, you know, in your relationships, and I was alone with my dogs. Echo was pretty new to me, just having him for a few months. Dodger was, you know, we were solid, we were tight, and I didn't have much left. You know, I had to stop working because of the pandemic, that kind of thing, but I had money and stuff, so that was fine. But I decided I'm gonna put all my stuff in storage, leave the city, take the dogs, and we took the truck and we decided to go live in the mountains, because that's where I felt safe. Even though there's bears there, and we did see at least one bear. We came real close to one bear at that time. But you go back and watch my old videos, and I don't talk very much in those videos. In fact, I'm not really on camera that much in the early videos. But I started documenting what we were doing, our lifestyle. And you might sense some of that when you watch. But for me, when I'm watching, I see like, wow, there's this guy, and he kind of didn't know what he was doing. You know, I knew about camping and all that, but it was like, oh, I'm gonna live like this now. I was a city boy, and now I'm just living in the woods with my dogs and having to figure out gear that we need, how to stay sort of clean, how to supply with food and water while moving around in the woods. And man, those were good times. And then I come out today out of my trailer after watching a couple of those videos, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm still doing it. I'm doing the same exact thing. My parents were like, oh, you need a trailer, you need an RV. And So they got me the trailer that we live in now. And I had no idea about RV life at all. Yeah, I gotta catch my breath. There's something kind of disturbing that I'm going to show you right now, so if you don't want to see, then don't look for the next 20 seconds. Just an old skull. That's an elk skull. But what's weird about it is, you guys put down in the comments what the deal is here, but the top part of the skull has been like sawn away. You see the cut there? Like someone wanted to get at the brain for some reason. And it's been cut here as well. Put down in the comments why someone would cut the skull cap open like that. Very strange. My guess is like has something to do with the Forest Service. They found a dead deer and then they take the brain of it to study it or something for diseases or something like that. So anyways, you guys are always asking about our history, so that's a little bit of our history. It's crazy like watching those old videos of ours and seeing myself and the dogs, a lot of footage of the dogs, and how it's like, oh yeah, we're fresh out of the city trying to make our way. And we stayed at a lot of state parks, doing a lot of hiking and exploring and starting a new life for ourselves. It was like an awkward time for me. Like, you know, it was definitely, there was parts that were really sad for me. But at the same time, and that's the reason I did it, is because out in nature, you know, if you're out on the beach or you're in the woods or you're in the desert, hiking around, exploring, seeing animals and fresh air, tons of fresh air, you feel happy, you feel good and safe, at least for me. I mean, it's not the same for everybody. I'm not encouraging anybody, but for me, it was the best decision that I've ever made. And here we are now, you know, we're for almost 5 years into this lifestyle. And, you know, I was making good money in the city. And, you know, I had a good life. But with this lifestyle, you know, I'm basically broke. But my happiness and the consistency of my comfort, and it's weird to say because, you know, I'm dirty. I only take a couple showers a week. But I'm comfortable. I gotta get the sand and grit out of my bed every night because Dodger spends a lot of time in there now that he's older, so he gets it pretty dirty. So there's, in some ways, you know, it's not comfortable like your typical meaning of comfort, but how I feel inside is comfortable, really comfortable. And the dogs have really gotten used to this lifestyle too. Dodger was a city dog, but he would also go backpacking with me. So he was used to, you know, animals and the different smells and the plants. He was always really good at not eating anything he wasn't supposed to. At first, I think he kind of missed the house life, you know, getting up on the couch and stuff like that. But he's really comfortable now doing this full time. And Echo gets it. He's my buddy now. He totally gets it. He gets all the rules, most of the rules. Come on, Echo. Let's go back to camp. Go check on Dodger. I didn't bring my backpack with because I knew if I had my backpack on, I would just keep hiking with Echo. Because there's places around here I want to explore. Like, I get really comfortable in these places now, and I just kind of spider out. Every day or two, I take a hike in a different direction. And these flies. Then I feel like, wow, like I really know this place. I know where that deer skull is. I know where the dry river is. I know where the dry lake is. I know where people go to shoot guns around here. There's a crazy road that goes up in these hills up here that I want to hike up at some point when we got cooler weather. Come on, Echo. It's like my life is so much simpler now. Just the idea of not having to drive in traffic every day, having constant fresh air. I step outside of my trailer, and in most places I'm camped, it's like, whoa, it's so quiet, so peaceful. Come on, Echo. That's our camp right there. We're just like on top of a hill. I have a multi-million-dollar view. Come look at this view. And you know, it's temporary for us, right? It's like our view changes every couple weeks, basically. Every week or two. But I'm so grateful and so lucky. You can see Dodger under the trailer. You can see his legs under there. He's tied up. I have a little leash that I can tie him up to, just so he doesn't wander off like into the road. Would be bad. Hey, Dodger. Good boy. Good boy. You're doing pretty good, Dodger. You're a little bit more spry. Of course, you got all 4 working legs in your older videos. But you still have your good days nowadays, and I'm happy about that. This is our camp right now. It's pretty freaking awesome. So I guess I just kind of hope that that fills you guys in a little bit on little bit more of our history and give you guys some insight on how this lifestyle has changed how I feel, how the dogs and I feel. Every day, even on the rare occasion like when we wake up in a rest area, it's noisier, it's dirtier, but you just start up your rig and you go and you're on the road, you're on to a new adventure. And sometimes I know where I'm going, like I know where I'm going to end up that night. And sometimes, just like the first year or so, I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I'm comfortable with that now. It's exciting to me, and I feel like I can handle most situations. I feel a lot more resilient. And, you know, people that are like world travelers, or people who just, you know, hike the earth all day and all night and live off the land, you know, they're even more resilient than me. So don't get it wrong. Like, I'm not saying that like I know everything and I can solve any problem, but you know, I've grown a lot as a nomad. My dogs have grown a lot as nomads. And it's something you don't get living in a city. Your growth rate, what you experience, and the obstacles you have to overcome are they're smaller. Out here, everything is more open and bigger, wide open. And your options and the places that you go, the people that you meet, the things you see, the scenery, the animals, it's just so much more out there. And again, like, I'm just traveling in a handful of the states. I'm just staying on the west side of the country, within this country, right? I just hope that I'm giving you guys some things to think about. And the dogs and I, you know, we always encourage you to get out yourself in whatever way you feel is appropriate. You know, just go out for a night or two, go set up a tent, and experience nature on your own terms. You don't have to do it like we do it, like every day, every night, nonstop. Because, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be dangerous, scary, uncomfortable, dirty, you know. There's a lot of epicness, but there's also a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles.